Okay, well, welcome to Gray Decision Intelligence Demand Trends monthly webinar series, and thank you again for joining us. My Gray DI panelists and I will be available to answer any questions you may have during the webinar. Today, we will discuss academic program evaluation and growth for higher education, and we have a couple of surprises for you too. So hopefully you can stay till the end. Allow me to share a few housekeeping items. If you have any questions, please place them in the Q&A section or at the chat at the bottom of your screen. We will try to get to as many of them as possible during the webinar, and we can certainly follow up with you offline if we do run out of time. You can also use that chat area for comments and discussion amongst yourselves. We will send you a link to the slides in the video recording, so watch your email in the next day or so. And now, without further ado, I will hand things off to Mary Upchurch, a highly experienced executive leader with Gray Decision Intelligence. Among her many responsibilities, Mary leads Gray DI's relationship with a wide range of educational institutions, from individual colleges and universities to statewide systems. Thank you so much, Mary, for being here.
Thank you. And hello, everyone. Good morning to everyone in the West and good afternoon to everyone traveling towards the East. I am delighted to be here to talk with you today about trends and the information of what's going on as we look back for February of this year. But we have a few additional folks who are going to be sharing the platform today. And I'm going to ask if they would introduce themselves briefly, and then you'll be hearing from them a little bit later. Joseph, would you start, please?
Good afternoon or good morning, everyone, wherever you come from. I'm Yosef Aljabi. I'm a manager of data science and product at Gray Decision Intelligence. I've been with Gray for a few years right now. My work includes building custom ML models and other AI models, as well as being the product manager and developer of Predict Program Size.
Thank you, Yosef. Lorelai?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Good morning. My name is Lorelai Boyd. I am a decision intelligence developer here at Gray DI, and I work on dashboards and AI products here for all of you. I've been with Gray for a couple of years now. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorelai. So let's talk with you a bit about what we're going to be going through today. Because we're in 3 different cities, Yosef is in Pittsburgh and Lorelai is just outside of New York, and I'm in Arizona. One person has command of the mouse, and that is Yosef. So Yosef, would you flip, please? We've got a little bit different of an agenda this month. We are going to be talking through the demand trends data, as I mentioned, for both student as well as employment demand. But then we've got a spotlight on a program of the month. And this is really going to be a little bit of a deeper dive than we've done in the past. We'll open with the program market data, and then we want to talk about a new reporting capability that's just looming on the edge of the horizon and is going to launch. And then we're going to follow that up with what do you do with that information, and specifically getting a sense of possible sizing, because as you're considering new program options, there are ways to be a little bit more concise about the potential of the program and its possible fit for your institution. And then we'll close with what's up next. I want to go ahead and start. Go ahead and flip, Yosef, with how Gray normally talks about program evaluation and how we consider the data that is designed to help support you as you do your portfolio evaluation, look at program potential, identify new program opportunities, and assess areas to invest. It is all anchored in mission, your institutional mission, and it's guided by your academic standards, both the institutions as well as your accreditors or your programmatic accreditors. Ideally, you have financial insights. In our case, we consider them margins. This is areas where you have an opportunity to produce excess, to fund growth, and to support mission critical programs. And then finally, the exterior outside of the 4 walls view, what's going on in the marketplace, which is largely where we're going to be spending today. Go ahead, Yosef, please. That's wrapped around by a process approach and the utilization of the information to support data-informed decision-making. It starts with engagement and people in the institution having access to information and their ability to using it, and having the right information that helps inform areas, decisions, and needs that are necessary to understand program progress, program performance, and program potential. And then the opportunity to evaluate it, and then finally manage it. We've done a series of master classes over the last 4 weeks. We will be concluding with a 5th, they each are concentrated on one of these areas. So if you haven't had a chance to see them, you might want to check online and pull down the content that is of greatest interest to you. But overall, an academic program portfolio evaluation system really is about enabling your growth and sustaining your financials. Go ahead and flip, please. From a market standpoint, really understanding the key elements of what's happening out there is critical. We look at markets data organized in one of four ways, either around student demand at various points in the funnel, and I'll touch on that, employment opportunity potential, competition, and where the award level sits, and if it's the right fit for it. Please flip. So let's go ahead and start talking about student demand. I want to point out one thing. When we look at student demand, we are looking at how it occurs at three different points. We start at the opportunity area, the one that everyone is most familiar with, and that's IPEDS reporting, and that's completions data. Who graduated from what program, how many, and obviously in what area of the country, because that matters most to you as an institution. We also look at enrollment data because that's helpful to understand how many are enrolled and most recently what new enrollment looks like. And then the consideration is looking out, where's the area of interest? The reality is that we start at the top of this funnel with the Google perspective to find out what programs are of interest and are being searched, and then who voted with their feet to choose to enroll, and then finally, how many persisted and were able to complete. Go ahead and flip, please, Joseph. Now, one thing about our data, we track Google search for over 900 programs. That covers about 90% of all United States completions. This is the first of a series of bar charts you're going to see. So let me just spend a moment to lay the chart out. On the horizontal axis, you have months, and on the vertical axis, you have numbers, and those are actual search volume numbers. They are in the millions. And then the blue bar stacks are for various years. And you can see that we're tracking back year over year for the past 3 years in January and February. March data is not yet in. We're just finishing the month on Monday, and then we will be updating them. A couple of things you can see, because we're only going back here to 2023. We have had progressive growth each year, January, month over month, year over year, as well as February, differing volumes levels. Please flip, Joseph. So let's take a little closer look. I want to point out here in February what has gone on. The numbers are actually up almost 4% overall in that search volume. And you can see, go ahead and flip one more, please. I'm talking faster than we're clicking. It's up 12% in total. I'm going to come back to this because there are various factors that are driving it, but it is up. We weren't sure what we were going to see this past month. So very positive indication right now for that volume. Go ahead and flip, please. Now, cost per click, it's a marketing indicator. And if you're thinking about buying space, either to get someone to visit your website or to look at your program, it is an important indicator. That, interestingly enough, fell down. It was popped up a little bit last year, year over year in expense at the same time. This year it is down. So that's a good indicator if you're looking at buying it. Interestingly enough, the most expensive cost per click in the month of February was for social work. It was, it's off the charts here. It's been, because these are blended numbers, it actually is running just under $42 per click. Very competitive program. Go ahead, please, Juanel, or excuse me, Joseph. Programs with the fastest growing US search volumes. This is at the program level, and you can see public administration is here. It's leading it. This is the second month in a row that it has done that. Economics and its components, quant, econ, and econometrics, has been in the top 10 consistently for us over the past few months. And then fashion, apparel, and design has finally appeared. February was Fashion Month, Fashion Week in New York. So that could have driven some interest in the programs themselves. In between, you can see education, system and networking, and this is at the bachelor's level because we are looking at bachelor's and above. And then we have some mental health fields. We've got clinical psychology here as well. So different changes, good volumes though. Go ahead, please. This is the enrollment picture, and we're showing here bachelor's on the left, master's on the right, and then the year-over-year shifts. We're going back all the way to 2018, so you can see the flow through from the pandemic. 22, 21, 22, and 23 were up 1 percentage point. 24 is down 1 percentage point on bachelor's. I'd say you could consider it pretty much flat. Master's enrollment for new fall enrollment, however, has increased beginning in 23, and it increased again in 2024. Not as much as it did in 2020 over 2019, but it is still showing a continued trend up. Go ahead, please. Now, for bachelor's at the program level, we thought it might be interesting for you to see the 5-year unit change, not just a year over year, because this gives you a better sense. This is a cumulative change in new enrollment over the 5-year period. And finance general actually is a substantially large area that has grown over those 5 years. 5 of the 10 of the fastest growing program areas are STEM or tech areas. Not surprising given the environment that we're in, but even for this 5-year period, it does stand out. Cyber and information assurance is the second one. And then we have business and administration, followed by business analytics and then marketing. You can then see we've got health services and allied health. We do have exercise physiology, and then we're rounded out with data analytics and data science. This is an interesting view. We're going to continue to track it to see how the shifts go. Last month, we did show year over year. Next month, we'll show you year over year again. Go ahead, please. And here's the same view for masters. This is rather extraordinary. Business analytics has taken off. And while this is a 5-year unit change, I can assure you the material volume of this and momentum of this has occurred over the last 3 years. And it outstrips the next closest program by a factor of 3. Data analytics and computer sciences are almost tied there. And then we've got mental health that is still showing up, mental health counseling as well as counseling psychology. But the majority of the areas here at the master's level are in the science and technology space. You can see artificial intelligence is now making its entry here, along with financial analytics. Go ahead. Shifting focus slightly, let's talk about the non-degreed demand area. 2 different ways that we thought you might find this information useful. On the left-hand side, as of February of 2025, there have been more than 143 to almost 144 million learners that have enrolled in a Coursera course since inception, since 2012. And the numbers are led by the science of well-being, even though that wasn't available in 2012, that came in subsequent years. And you can see the rest of the cascade here. On the right-hand side is a change in enrollment volume over the 1-year horizon. And if you look carefully, you've got quite a different mix. Since inception, we've got well-being, we've got negotiation, we have business skills, we have introduction to psychology, as well as we have foundational data and other points. On the right-hand side, in the last year, it is largely all about data, with 2 exceptions: introduction to psychology and well, I guess pretty much I was going to say a second one, but not really. Data everywhere, no matter what you look at, it's all here. So this is really where the highest level of interest is, and will be interesting to see if it maintains this momentum in these particular concentrations. Go ahead, please. This is the skills, and it's a companion to the prior page. Beforehand, the cumulative skills view started even with this timing with data analytics, and then Python data visualization. We've had some shifting with some of the categories, but data analysis and data visualization in the last year have still held within the top 3 spaces. SQL has moved up, and then you can see some other changes here. Happiness has dropped off the sheet. Hopefully it might reemerge at some point in time, but all of these skills and competencies are again in the technical space. Go ahead, please. So one final view, let's shift to international student demand. We were waiting to see how this emerged, given the larger world. So 2025, student interest from international points of origin in US programs, it rose 4% year over year. I want to mention that unlike Google search, which matches with clicks, this is a page view type deal, which is why it's noted as international page view. You can see for the month of February, we were up 4% year over year. However, I want to point out that the mix that sits underneath this is actually different. So let's go ahead, Yosef, and flip, please. Here is the page views by programs. And we've got, for bachelor's programs, a whole series of programs that have never popped up before. We've double checked and triple checked the information. Nutrition sciences, geology, ecology, music theory, and composition. These are all new visitors to areas of interest, but look at the scale. We're talking about 126 page views or 80 page views. If you look at the master's program data, now we're in the tens of thousands, and business administration is leading this along with marketing. That is relatively consistent to what has occurred before. Then we've got information technology and data analytics. I want to point out one thing. The prior chart, which was a cumulative look at the 4% increase, also included PhD programs. We don't have that here. But PhD programs grew year over year, as did master's programs. It's the bachelor's programs in total searches for bachelor's programs that declined significantly. Bachelor's programs, 25 to 24 year over year, February were down 21% in search data. Masters were up 5%. PhD programs were up 27%. And the reason why that impact is so important is that the PhD searches outstrip the bachelor's searches. So you can see the emphasis is still on graduate degree programs. And for PhDs, electrical engineering, computer science, pharmacy, business administration, and economics and econometrics led that grouping. So still a bit more on the technical space. Let's swing now to employment demand and what's going on in the employment market. First, a comment about the data. You know, if you use the standard SIP to SOC data, which is the program classification codes to job coding, you're going to find that it's very much direct preparation jobs. And so that means if you're in a nursing program, it's dealing with nursing jobs. And sometimes that can be relatively limiting, and particularly in the arts and humanities, especially limiting. So here's an example of, bachelor's in psychology. It does require, if you want to practice psychology, you have to have a degree at a higher award level, either master's or PhD, depending upon your field of focus. However, when you look at the SIP-SOC crosswalks for this at the bachelor's level, these are the areas that come up: substance abuse and behavioral disorders, clinical counseling and school psychologists, others, and then you can see it in the teaching space. Please flip. We look at this crosswalk a little bit more broadly. We have studied the data that has come out of the American Community Survey. We have used our alumni database. We have looked at the job postings data, and combined, we find that it's a much broader view of the folks who graduate with bachelor's degree of psychology and enter the workforce. We've looked at over 1 million graduates, and they show up in 782 occupations, not just those previous 6 or 7. And you can see here what the top listing is, starting with general and operations managers, human resource specialists, chief executives, which I know that looks odd because everyone thinks that's, a very high level for a very big company. But a lot of times individuals are starting their own entities and they're carrying that title with it. And then you can see clinical counseling, student psychologists and managers, as well as social and community services and advertising and promotions. So when you're thinking about the data as you use it for your institution, remember to keep a little bit broader scope on it if possible, if that is the way the data can be provided to you, and if not, ask questions, because oftentimes you may be limiting the potential applicability of the programs that you offer and the opportunities for your graduates. Go ahead and flip, please. Now, job postings. For the month of February, year over year, they fell just slightly by 1%, so almost flat. And that's a little bit different than the pattern from January of last year, or January of this year, and the previous January associated with it, and actually for a number of the preceding months. So we'll keep an eye on this and see. Go ahead, please. In terms of fastest growing job postings, we had software developers, applications, 10,589. So not quite capable to round to 11,000. The ones in the dark blue bars are also the ones noted that are in the top 10 for total volume overall. So this is the growth factor year over year, but also total volumes. Then you can see general and operations and nursing, marketing managers, physical therapists, and you can read the rest of the list. Go ahead. From a skills standpoint, these are the fastest growing skills volumes for bachelor's and above degrees. They're as they show in our job postings dashboard, which come out of actual employer job postings data. Marketing remains in the lead and has been there for some time. Microsoft Office it seems to be perennial. It's very interesting. And then project management. We also have finance, computer science, and analytics, and then some very specific skills as well. All right. So now let's pivot for just a moment and let's talk about a program. You have demand data, you have market data, you have employment data, and you're thinking about new program opportunities. How do you go about doing that, and what do you do with it? So I'm going to give you the very abbreviated how you go about it. Go ahead and flip, please, Joseph. And that is, if whatever system you're using to assess data, take a look at the ranking of the programs that you don't offer, and the vitality of the market as they show for the program in your respective geographic market area or the US market, depending upon what you're considering. This is an extract from our market system. It does a rank ordering, and we're showing the programs as compared to every other program at that award level and in the selected geography. The selected geography here is the United States market. We're at the bachelor's award level. And there are, I will tell you, there's another set of 10 programs that are a little bit more highly ranked. They're in the 99th, 98th, and 95th percentiles. But I wanted to come down a little bit, and we'll take a look at cinematography and film and video production. It's been a growing program, so it's been interesting to see. And here, overall, it's in the 92nd percentile. So it's in the top 10% of all programs across the dimensions of student demand, competition, and employment opportunity. It fits at the bachelor's level. Employment is not quite as strong, it's average, but from a competitive standpoint, not as much competition as you might think. Go ahead, please, and flip. So in looking at the program and trying to consider it, you actually do want to dig into the data that you have that's available. This is an extract from the program scorecard that concentrates on the student demand piece. Some of the metrics that I just showed you has additional metrics that we didn't provide you with the trending data, and a couple of things I just want to highlight. In every instance, we take each metric and compare the program, in this case, cinematography, in the geography, which is the United States market, against every other program at the bachelor's award level. And for that metric, determine how it compares. And we give you the total value of what the metric is. That's the 646,290 Google searches over the last 12 months. But then we put it into a percentile structure, so you can get a comparison. And this is in the top 10%. It happens to be as of the time we pulled the data, in the 90th percentile here. Now, that means it's very, very healthy. That's from a size standpoint. If you look at it from a growth standpoint, it is down a bit year over year. It's down more than most other programs. Happens to actually be down 19% year over year. There can be a lot of reasons for it. Growth factors and even sizing factors when you're dealing with Google search type information are very volatile. You actually want to pay attention to the other elements, which is why we include them in the scorecard. The new student enrollment and volume, total student enrollment and volume, if you had the vertical dashboard, and looking what's happening in terms of completions. New student enrollment is strong. In the US market, there's 6,205 students that entered into the fall to take this program, and it's in the 96th percentile, so very strong. Year over year, it's about flat. So that means it's stable. And while you'd ideally like to see it grow, you definitely don't want to see it decrease. And completions are also sizable. It's in the 95th percentile. Those grew 3% year over year. So from each point in the funnel, the program has very solid demand overall. When you look at it in a blended basis, it's in the 96th percentile for all of these metrics compared to every other program in the US market at the bachelor's level. Please flip. Now, from an employment standpoint, a little bit different picture. It's in the average space at the 62nd percentile. We clock above average starting at 70 to 90. But there's some interesting information here. The job postings totals is in the 93rd percentile. It's healthy. And BLS current employment as a total employment arena is also quite healthy at the 93rd, and as well as forecasted job openings. There are some other things here, though. Historical job growth, if you look at the 1 and 3 year historical numbers, are above average, 4.1 and 4.7%. The 10-year outlook, not as attractive, but 10 years is a long time. Lots of things shift, so enough said about that. There are other indicators here, though, if you were considering the program, that you'd want to be thoughtful about. Underemployment is definitely, not as attractive and is much greater than in comparative other programs. And that means, as we measure it, anyone graduating with a bachelor's degree from this program, if they're working in a position that does not require the credential, the bachelor's degree, doesn't have to require it in this subject matter, puts them in something that they're underemployed if they don't need to have it. So it's a little bit high here, 61%. Not surprisingly, if you look at the wages, those wages are also a little bit lower. Now, we've got them split out as entry level and post-entry median. One comment about this, this particular program, oftentimes graduates can work for themselves. BLS and capturing that data is a little bit tougher to get a handle on. And so you want to be thoughtful and you want to think about what this looks like in your particular area. Please go ahead and flip. Competitively, this program, it doesn't intuit like, competitive intensity looks really strong. It actually means it's all not that competitive. While there are 159 institutions in the country that can offer the program, overall campuses with graduates plus onlines, there are, it's still not as, competitive in other ways. The average number of program completions and the median size are pretty strong in comparison. And you can see also the changes are not that bad. Please go ahead and flip. And one more thing, when you look at who else is in the market and as you're considering it, take a look at if there is a concentration in competition. There were 207 schools in 2023 that produced 5,606 completions in this program. 5 schools produced 1,396 of those 5,600. 25% of all completions were concentrated in those 5 schools, and they're here on the screen, which means that as you're thinking about this, you would want to consider your competitive position, because the program overall could have great potential for you. We're going to talk about how you want to think about that and what your potential might be when Joseph begins talking about assessing program size, but I want to highlight it here. And then finally, we have, go ahead and flip, degree fit and benchmarking. This is just an indication is if you're thinking about offering it at the bachelor's level, does it make sense? Yes. 62% of all completions are at the bachelor's level in the United States, so perfectly feasible. And then we do include our benchmarking data from our program economics, and this program, as measured by cost per student credit hour by other institutions that have reported it, is slightly lower cost than the average, and so could be a feasible thing to undertake. As always, you do your own economics. Go ahead and flip, please. And then finally, this is the consolidated view. You can put it all together and, have it at a glance. But there are other ways to get at this information that might make it a little less intimidating and a lot easier to consume, especially if you're working with others. Please flip, Joseph. So You have options to choose on reporting levels when you're considering and synthesizing the data, working with your colleagues and having a discussion about it. The ability to have those reporting options is key as you work with it. From our standpoint, we give you currently 2 reporting choices. One that's an AI report. It's a single page. It highlights all the key metrics in demand, employment, and competition. We also have a program summary that provides much more detailed information. Is still in a brief 7-page report that also incorporates a scorecard. But we've now created an expanded program report. And with that, I want to turn this over to Lorelei.
Thank you, Mary. And thank you all for joining us today. We understand that in the dynamic landscape of higher education, strategic planning and program development are crucial for institutional success. So today we're here to introduce a tool designed to support those efforts, the PES Markets Program Report. So Yusuf, if I may share my screen. Thank you. The PES Markets Program Report is a comprehensive view of an academic program that covers Grade EI's major sources: student demand, employment, and competitive intensity. So we're taking a look at the data from all these major sources and putting them into one document for you, a document that you can define the parameters of with these selections and then have it emailed to you within a matter of minutes. So let me show you how you get to this dashboard first. So if you just go to your hub, there is a line item called Reports on the left side. You can just click that, and then you have PES Markets Program Report, and that will take you to this dashboard. So let's begin with the dashboard. This interface is designed to help you define the parameters for your analysis. You have 3 categories of selections to make. You can make a SIP selection or program, a market selection, and an award level. So I'm just going to make a program selection, cinematography. There we go. And I'm actually going to leave the market blank. And by leaving it blank, it is the national market, but you would otherwise be able to choose a state market, for example, or if you have any custom markets configured for your institution, you'd be able to select them here. And then I'm going to select bachelor's. And the last step to get the report is just one button on the right here, the big email button. Just click that, and it should send it to your email that you're signed in with. If you wanted to add additional emails like other people, you just type them here and use a comma and a space to separate them, and you can type more emails if you want, but that's unnecessary to type them for yourself. It will send it just to your email by default. So let's take a look at what the program report actually looks like. So the program report begins with a few introductory slides. You have the title page, you have your currently selected filters, and you have the table of contents. On the right here, we have the program summary report. Now, I'm not going to read it off to you right now, but as you can see, it is a few paragraphs long. We have an overview, student demand, employment, and competitive intensity. And this is an AI-generated report designed to give you more detail based on the scorecard data. And this should help explain the various parts of the program report data for you. Moving on to student demand, we can see new enrollment has been increasing over the trailing 12 months terms. Total fall enrollment has also been on the increase. Completions also increasing, except for online, which is actually down 1.9% over the last year and 10.26% over the year prior. Google search trends, again, we can see are on the decline by 13.9% over the trailing 12 months and 10.7% year over year for January. Moving on to employment, we actually have our job postings database here. Job postings we can see are on the rise by 4.9% over the trailing 12 months at 4,222 job postings, which is actually up 2.9% year over year for January as well. Now on the right is a really great resource for you to see what your cinematography students are actually going into. This uses our crosswalk to show you what occupations the cinematography program students are landing in. So for example, in this example, cinematography students are landing in general and operations managers, marketing managers, sales representatives, computer users, sports specialists, and so on. So this can show you what kind of skills your students might actually need for the jobs they end up going into, because we know that they might not always be cinematographers at the end of the day. So those managerial skills might actually be really important for your cinematography students. Moving on to salary trends, we can see they are on the rise, up 12.3% for the trailing 12 months at $77,180 and up 11.1% year over year for January. You can see in the chart, it's on an increase from 2023, up 2024, and 2025 looks like it's beginning to lead up as well. On the right, we can see one of the highest volume for job postings is under marketing managers, with the highest weighted salary of $104,706. And that way you can see that, again, marketing managers, these managerial skills might actually be really important for your cinematography students with the kinds of jobs they end up landing. Moving on to technical skills, you can see that they have marketing, Microsoft Office, and project management as some of the top technical skills that appear most frequently in the job postings. The durable skills, again, management. Management seems to be a leading sort of skill here. Leadership, customer service are also important skills that appear frequently in the job postings. For this next part, I'm going to go over it very quickly. I just want to mention that we have some tables that represent the volume and growth for both industries, employers, and job titles. Moving on to requested degree levels. These are the advertised degree level that appear in the job postings for the occupations these graduates are going into. So the most advertised degree level in these job postings was bachelor's by far, followed by undergraduate certificate, followed by master's, and a distribution of the others. We can see that job postings are on the rise at both the associate and below level, up 3.2% for the trailing 12 months, and bachelor's and above, up 12.4% over the trailing 12 months. Moving on to BLS wages, we can see BLS wages are also on the increase, up 5.5% from 2023 compared to 2022 at $88,756. BLS employment is also up on the rise, 4.2% in 2023 compared to 2022 at 28,152 jobs. Moving on to competitive intensity, now we can see institutions and their completions. So we can see the largest group, the largest sector of institutions is at 75 for private, not-for-profit, followed by the next grouping, 47 public, bachelor's and above, and a total of 160 institutions, 7 online. Now on the right, we can see a distribution of institutions by volume of growth. So we can see how these different campuses are ranking in terms of completions. New York University taking the top total completions at 406, and Savannah College of Art and Design taking the top 5-year growth at 131 completions. For the last 2 slides, we can show the distribution of completions across the US. So because we chose the national market, we can see the national distribution. On the left, we have on-ground institutions showing the distribution of on-ground completions by institution. And on the right, we have online in-market completions showing the distribution of in-market institutions. And under both visualizations, we have all of the campuses laid out for you, so you can see the number of completions associated with each. So we believe this tool can be a valuable asset for your institution's planning, providing the clarity and direction needed to navigate today's competitive educational landscape. And by leveraging this data-informed insights with the convenience of this holistic program report, you can make strategic decisions that not only enhance your program relevance, but also drive student success. So we are confident that the PES Market Program Report can be a key component in your institutional growth. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you.
Hey, and I wanted to point it out, if you didn't catch it, Lorelai is actually the developer who created this, and we had a kind of a question/suggestion. Any chance it could be condensed more, or more of a like having an executive summary in there?
Yes, that is a great solution. That's a great idea, and we will work on adaptations that allow you to choose different versions of the program report, maybe some more condensed than others.
Hey, thank you, Lorelai.
And Marianne, let me just add to that. While we didn't show photographs or PDFs of the other two reports, you may find that the summary report that is available, the one that goes for 7 pages, does have a summary component, and then it goes through some additional data. It's the shorter version. This has considerably more data contained in it. So that may meet your needs at least immediately, without the executive summary on this right now. Right. So let's go ahead and flip. So now you've got more data. You actually are thinking about considering the program. And the question on the table is, how do you think about its possibilities for your institution? How do you gauge size that's possible for you? Really, truly about you, not about just general market stuff. And how can you define its economic impact for you, cost as well as contribution? And then can you net it out? So could you craft and translate that into a visual that represents enrollment and financials? So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Joseph.
Thank you, Mary, and welcome everyone. And we're actually into a very interesting point where we see a lot of schools getting into here with full excitement and energy. They looked into the market data. They found great indicators of this program performance everywhere, nationally or in the market that they are in, and they want to start it. The next step is usually ambiguous. And typically it would start, does it fit my school? And the fitting here translates to many things. Does it fit my mission? Does it fit my student that I'm serving? Does it fit my portfolio in the entirety of my academic program offerings? And one of the steps that starts as an anchor to build everything on is how big this program could be if I offer it as an institution. There are lots of ways you can do that. There are some schools that like to go and do an average size in the nation or the median size. Well, this is good, but why are you saying the average or the median? There's nothing that tells you this is you. Other schools do it a little bit more sophisticated way, and they look into peer institutions and they say, oh, if this school has this program and they have it in this size, then I'm most likely going to be on the same size. Now, this is on the surface sounds legit. However, there are many considerations that go into there. And one mistake I see often after talking to institutions is they mistake competitors from peers. A school could be your competitor, taking all your students, but they're not your peer. They could have different program mix, different marketing strategies, different servings that they have for other students that appeal for them to join you. So it's a little bit of a tricky area. Now that's the past, and sometime the present or the future, which we made it the present, is you can use all the data in our systems, over 5 million data points, and build a machine learning model to estimate the size of this program if you offer it at your own institution. And that's what predict program size does. It takes attributes about the school, including the size of the school with like 5 metrics indicating the size, the sector of that school, public, private, for profit, not for profit. And then we're looking into your portfolio or your program's offerings to actually see qualitatively what programs you have and quantifying this into some numbers or some formulas that we can use to find the best fit program in your portfolio. Looking into your selectivities, looking into the student types you already offer, and then looking into your location to find how many competitors are around you, what is the demand in your state, et cetera, et cetera. The other sets of attributes predict program size take into account is the program attributes. Looking into this program itself, is it a big program usually? Because there are programs that will be big no matter the school that offer them, and there are programs that will be small no matter the school that offer them. Then we're looking into the size of this program at similar schools to you. And here the similarity happens within an algorithm. It's not an arbitrary. So we're looking into your size and find similar schools accordingly. Looking into your Carnegie classification, you're looking into US News ranking, looking into a few metrics that within an algorithm determines what school is similar to you, and that even varies by program type. So a school that you have a very strong business in general. The similar schools to you is a school that have business strength as well. So depending on the program I'm looking into, with the subset of similar schools change dynamically. Then I'm looking into what the type this program is in, and then does it fit your portfolio? So the type of the program and the program portfolio fit is one of our engineered data that we created specifically for Predict Program Size to find the mix of programs you have support adding this extra one or does not. And then we're looking to the market data, which Mary went extensively on, as well as the modality of this program, online, on ground, or if you have both offerings. All that data, roughly 5 million data points on over 100,000 data rows, go into a traditional machine learning model that produces program size with a 90% accuracy, distinguishing from an, oh, wow, this is a big, good program to start, to an, oh no, I will never start this program. And you have two flavors of the size, a range of completions, as well as a most likely number. Now, just to showcase this today, I found two institutions with two different mixes of programs. One institution is an art-oriented institution with less than 1,000 graduates a year. And one institution is a state institution with roughly 3,000 completions or graduates a year. And I asked Predict Program Size how big cinematography would be if they offer it. And I like to say voila. So voila, the school that is art and design oriented, even though it's 1/3 in size to the other school, is estimated to have over 75 graduates if they offer cinematography. While the school that looks big and is big completions wise, the size of that school did not play a crucial role in determining the size of the estimate of cinematography if they offer it. Actually, the mix of their programs had the heavyweight in this case. And the idea here is, if you look into markets data, there will always be the top 10 program that no matter where you look geographically, they will be at the top. But you always ask yourself, do they fit what I do? And sometimes they do, which is great. Sometimes they don't. And that's where Predict can come in really strongly and tell you, yes, this is strong market-wise, but it will not fit who you are right now. So taking the size prediction from Predict Program Size can be the start of a great journey, which is creating a full program proposal. And that usually I have a sheet somewhere that I keep track every school I talk to. They say, oh, we spent 2, 3, 4, 5 months to create a program proposal. And it's like, why? And I say, oh, we have an Excel that someone built 27 years ago, and we tried to edit it and it breaks every time. So that's what we did. We added pro forma financials to Predict Program Size that takes the predicted size as well as some assumptions that you provide about the program, like retention rates, tuition rates, discounts, scholarship, et cetera, and combine it with our benchmarking cost to teach this program specifically, that within X hours, it took me 15 minutes to prepare the one I'm going to show you in a second, but depends on how much data collection is hard in your institution. You can create a full pro forma financials for this program very quickly. Now, you may think, what is this benchmarking cost per student? This is our proprietary database that collects cost data from many schools that allow us to anonymize and share their data about the cost of teaching this program. So in this case, I found that using our subset of data in the benchmarking, the cost to teach one student credit hour for cinematography bachelor's is $191. So that's why you take away the guessing, how much is going to cost me to teach this program. So that's what I did. I put all the data and to create the pro forma financials that includes the following components. We have enrollment estimates for 6-7 years, and that is anchored in the size predicted from the predict program size model. But it also uses your own retention rates, which are proprietary, like customized to who you are. And it includes the national growth ramps to see how quickly does this program usually grow year over year when offered new to the students in that institution. The second component is revenue, and that includes how many credits your students usually take. That's an average annually, your tuition and fees data, as well as your scholarship rate or discount rate. Then it includes non-instructional cost. That's how much you're going to pay your program director if you're going to hire one, or if you're going to take a portion of a professor's time, what percent of their time is allocated to administration costs. It also includes program development costs. If you're, building a lab or buying equipment for cinematography, for example, how much that's going to cost you upfront. And then is there any marketing costs you're going to you have to market to get more students. And lastly, we have instructional costs. And this is starting with how much would it cost you to teach this program? And we're breaking down the cost here into current costs, which you already have. Every school has English 101 that every program students is going to take, but there are also new courses that you're going to create for cinematography in this example specifically, and how much they're going to cost you for them specifically. Whether you're going to hire a new faculty or you're going to have adjuncts, you can all specify in the pro forma tool. So prior to today's webinar, I took the state institution, not the art-oriented, the state institution with 22 graduates predicted for them, and created a pro forma quickly with some default data. And this is what it looks like. So for that school, after I inputted some data, we see that they're going to break even on this program on year 3. And at maturity, which is year 6 in this scenario, they're going to have 96 total enrollments, 96 total students across all cohorts in that year. Those 96 students will generate $0.8 million gross margin. And throughout the 6 years, or the 7 if you count pre-launch, this program will generate a positive of $2.1 million as a cumulative cash flow. And then we have this as a snapshot of that pro forma that you can take a screenshot of and put it in your program proposal for the board of directors or to the president or whoever you're proposing this to. And what you'll see in this example, there was $160,000 upfront cost from this institution to launch this program. And then it took 3 years to break even and start actually getting positive cash flow. And just within 3 more years, they're getting into the 2 million cumulative cash flow. This is the ramp up of their enrollment, breaking it down by in-state and out-of-state. Since it's a state institution, I found their tuition and input it accordingly. And then year 6, which is the mature year, this is a snapshot of what their financials look like. So those 96 enrollment or 96 students are going to bring in 1.5 million. They're going to cost this school about 100,000 operational cost and about 600,000 instructional cost. And then the margin, gross margin after these costs is going to be about $800,000, which is what you see at the top of the KPI. And then just to get a view, an overview for accreditation purposes or whatever purposes you need to report to, this is how much faculty and adjunct FTEs by year you're going to need according to the metric that I inputted in my pro forma. Thank you.
Thank you, Yosef. So we're almost at the top of the hour. Let me just provide a very quick summary. From a trend standpoint in demand data, February trends were up for Google searches by 12%, and public administration searches led the group overall. Fall 24 new student enrollment in bachelor's programs fell down 1%, and masters were up by 2%. And business and finance and business analytics had the highest new enrollment growth for the 5-year period from fall of 19 to fall of 2024. And finally, in February, software developers had the highest job postings volume year over year. And skills in marketing, Microsoft Office and project management continue to be in high demand. We also wanted to leave you with a reminder. When you think about employment, evaluate its breadth, not just its direct preparation components based on basic SIPSOC matches, so that you have the full view of opportunity. And case in point is the bachelor's in psychologies that we walked through. And then finally, we always talk about market demand and how it can help inform your decisions to consider starting, stopping, or growing programs. Additional data and tools are available to you. And with the proliferation of more and more AI capabilities, that toolkit is only going to grow. Ideally, you want to select the best match that can help you with your communication evaluation of program opportunities in those tools, because it's not just about understanding it, but it's about everyone else's need to know, understand, can evaluate, and discuss the data and information. And predicting capabilities are within reach now. Then it can help to quickly inform decisions, especially when you have multiple excellent options to compete for choice and all cannot be funded. I think with that, we just want to touch on what's coming up next. And you can see here, I mentioned at the beginning, I'll close at the end, masterclass series. We have one more that will be coming up on April 1st. And no, it will not be an April Fool's one. And that's dealing with embracing innovation and the future of program evaluation. And then next month, we will be having Butler University join us, and we'll be doing a case study webinar as well. Thank you so much. And if there are no more questions, we will call it a wrap for today.